Hello baseball fans, this is Anthony with BBSN, and tonight we are in Crosley Field for start number 16 of the 1969 Fergie Jenkins payoff pitch replay, with the Cubs taking on the Reds for the second start in a row for Fergie. And for the Cubs lineup tonight, a couple of changes. Kessinger will be in his customary spot leading off and playing short. Paul Popovich gets the start for Glenn Beckert tonight at second. And then the usual cast of characters follow Pop. Billy Williams, Ron Santo at third, Ernie Banks at first, Randy Hundley behind the dish, Al Spanky Spangler back in right field instead of Jim Hickman tonight, Don Young in center, and of course Fergie on the bump. And for the homestanding Reds, Pete Rose leads off, Jimmy Stewart in left will bat second, Bobby Tolan, who was ejected in Jenkins' last start against the Reds for using a corked bat, will be in right field and hit third. Tony Perez at third base hitting cleanup. Lee May at first hitting fifth. Johnny Bench behind the plate. Tommy Helms at second. Darrell Chaney at shortstop. And on the mound for the Reds tonight will be George Culver. And Culver, a record of 5-7, 4.26 ERA in 1969. So we are ready to go, and rumors are that there may be a special musical guest in-house from a well-known rock band for the seventh inning stretch, so we will keep you apprised of that. And meanwhile, Culver signals he is set. Umpire says, play ball, let's roll, and here we go. And off the bat to Kessinger, tough, and that's going to be a ground ball down to shortstop. Darrell Chaney gobbles that up, one down. Paul Popovich, making a rare start for the Cubbies, is up next. And that's going to be tough also. And that'll be a fly ball to center field. And Jimmy Stewart, not the actor, takes care of that. Two away for sweet swinging Billy Williams. Culver, the windup, and Williams patient. And that's going to be a base on balls. So Williams gives the Cubbies their first base runner with a 2-out walk. And Ron Santo up next. Seven's going to be in play, and Santo against the right-hander is going to be a pop out to first base. And over there is Lee May. He puts that away. So the Cubbies, no hits, no runs, no errors. One left. We head to the bottom of the first inning, and our score is 0-0. Pete Rose to lead it off against Fergie, and right out of the gate, ballpark, and against the right-hander, that's going to be wheelhouse for Pete Rose, and Rose has a little bit of pop against righties. He takes a big cut at a Fergie fastball, and that's going to be a ground ball down to Kessinger. So anticlimactic as Rose runs that out. One down, Jimmy Stewart up. And three, going to be tough, and in comes Fergie inside. Slider, swing and miss, strike three, and Stewart is fanned and sent back to the dugout. Bobby Tolan, who was ejected in the first game of the series. And we'll intermingle some fun facts about Tolan as we go. I just decided to research him a little bit after his incident with a cork bat. And actually, kind of an interesting and somewhat sad story. We'll start out with a good. Tolan, 1969 was his first season with the Reds, 23 years old. And he actually homered in his first at-bat as a Cincinnati Red, so that got off to a good start. And here, Fergie's going to come tough on him, and that's going to be a fly out to left field. So 3 up, 3 down for Jenkins and the Cubs, and we are through one inning with no score. And we will come back to Tolan in his next at-bat with some more factoids. As Mr. Cubby, Ernie Banks, leads off the second, and that's going to be patient. And Ernie's going to draw a base on balls to start the second inning for the Cubbies. And Ernie at this stage in his career is of lead feet and will not be even trying to steal. So 9, and that's going to be tough. And 56 to Hundley will be a fly out to right, one down. And that brings up Al Spanky Spangler. The left-handed batter digs in against Culver. Here comes a pitch. And 6 patient, and Spangler is going to draw another walk. So Both teams looking for the first hit, but Culver started off a little bit wild here. Runners on first and second, one down for Don Young. And Culver would like to retire him and get the pitcher spot up there with 2 away. And 12, Wheelhouse Young, a big cut, and that's going to be a single. He hits that solidly. And single, line drive into center field, and all runners will advance 1 base. So sacks are going to be loaded, and Fergie, well, that was a sweet pitch, and Young hit it hard, could not elevate it. So Fergie, bases loaded, 1 down. Culver in a bind, and Fergie is a decent hitter. Here comes the pitch, and 6 going to be patient, and Fergie not patient enough as he flies out to center field, and that is going to be, that will be deep enough to possibly score a run, and coach's choice. So on third base, we have Ernie Banks, who has a speed of 6, and in center field, sporting an arm of 8, is Pete Rose. So it would have to be 8 or in between 6 and 8 to have a split chance, and 6 or less to score. And we're going to try it, rolling the dice. Here we go. And that is going to be in between, so we'll go to the 2-die 10. And this will be 46 or better. He is going to be safe. So here comes the throw to the plate. Here comes Ernie Banks and slides it under the tag. And the Cubbies have the first run of the ball game on a sacrifice fly by Fergie Jenkins himself, and again helping his cause. And going to third on that throw to the plate will be Al Spangler. So runners at the corner, 1 down or 2 down, and Don Kessinger up top of the order. Cubbies on the board, and the pitch from Culver is going to be in play, and that'll be a ground ball down to second base. And Tommy Helms feels that easily, whips it over to May, and the Cubbies are retired. But they do break out on top. 1 hit, couple of walks, and a run on the sac fly. They leave 2. We head to the bottom of the second inning, 1-0 Cubs. And Tony Perez is up, and Perez yacked one off Jenkins earlier on. And 7's going to be in play, and Tony is going to drive that into the gap in left center and end up on second base, stand-up double to lead off the second inning. So the Reds firing back, and in real life, this game was a 14-8 shootout in favor of the Cubs. Fergie got a no decision. Only lasted 5 innings before he was driven from the box. And this is going to be tough, and tough to Lee May, 43, swing and a miss, strike 3. So May can't catch up to the high heat, little chin music, and then comes back over the outside corner. And back to the dugout goes May. Johnny Bench up next, and we have a defensive check with a low 2-die 10 roll. So that's going to be an error check on the second baseman, who is Popovich, and Popovich with a 3. And that is going to be an error. So infield, and that will be a 1 base error. So E4, and over to third goes Tony Perez. So Fergie now in a little bit of a bind himself. Runners at the corner, Tommy Helms up, and next will be Darrell Chaney, then the pitcher spot. And 11, and another defensive check. And the Cubbies could be letting Fergie down in the field. This will be a range check, however, on third baseman Ron Santo, who is a C. And range of C, and a roll of 41, and that is going to be a base hit. And third base single, all runners advance 1 base. So coming in to score is Tony Perez. And going over to second is Bench. So the Reds have tied this up at 1 apiece. And that run will be earned. As you cannot say if Perez would not have scored on a single from second. Or May, sorry. And Darrell Chaney up, still 1 down. Here comes a pitch from Fergie, and Fergie tough to Chaney and struck him out. And Fergie absolutely dominated Cheney in the his last outing, also against the Reds. And that will bring up the pitcher spot. And the pitcher does not have his head in the game. Back in the tunnel at the water fountain. Here he comes. Fergie ready to go. And 11, another defensive check. That's 3 in this inning. And that will be an error check on the catcher. And Hundley is a 4, which is good, except 33 is not going to get it done. And that will be a dropped foul. So luckily that does not hurt Fergie. He'll reboot. Here we go again. And 9, and this time it is going to be tough, and that is going to be a swing and a miss, blows him away, so Fergie strikes out the side, but a couple of hits and an error, and the Reds have tied this one up. It's 1-1 heading into the top of the 3rd inning, and leading off for the Cubbies will be Paul Popovich, getting the rare start at first base today. And Culver, that'll be tough, and Popovich grounds it to second base, and up with that is Helms over to May in 1 down. Next up, the left-handed sweet swinging Billy Williams. And 7's going to be an in-play result, and Williams grounds that down to third base, and Perez takes care of that. 2 quick outs for the Reds here in the top of the 3rd. As cleanup batter Ron Santos strides to the plate. 7's going to be in play, and Santo is going to get a nice cut at that, but grounds it right back to Culver, who whips it over to May. 3 up, 3 down for the Cubbies. And we head to the bottom of the 3rd inning, tied at 1. Pete Rose up to lead off the 3rd for the Cubs, and Fergie patient. And that is going to be a ground ball down to Kessinger, who gobbles that up, takes care of Rose. 1 quick out. Jimmy Stewart. And Stewart in play, 32, and that is going to be a ground ball to first base, and Ernie Banks, flashing that leather, is going to take that unassisted. And Bobby Tolan, our little featurette player of the game, with 2 down. So Tolan, after a good start with the Reds in 1970, he had a really good season, hit .316, 16 bombs, and 80 RBIs. And during the off-season, 1971, the Reds, they used to go out and play charity basketball tours up the East Coast. And Tolan tore his Achilles during one of those exhibition games, which were not very popular with the Reds general manager, and set him back. And when he did try and come back in May, he was running in the outfield and re-injured it. And that pretty much did him in for the season. And it started to be, well, a positive thing happened after, but then pretty much all downhill from there. And Tough and Tolan, speaking of Tough, is not going to be able to catch up with that Jenkins heater. And 3 up, 3 down for the Reds. So we will continue the story of Bobby Tolan and his next at bat as we go to the 4th inning. And Ernie Banks leading it off for the Cubbies. And Banks, that's going to be tough. Ground ball down to shortstop, and Cheney, moving to his left, picks that up, whips it over to first, 1 down. Randy Hundley behind the dish and having a good offensive season. That's going to be Patient and Hundley. And that will be a fly ball to center field. An easy put out for Rose, 2 away. So Culver faring much better against the Cubs this start. And 7 is going to be an in-play result to Spangler. And that will be a pop-up to shortstop, and Cheney ranges back into the outfield a few steps, puts it away, and Cubbies are gone in the 4th. So heading to the bottom of the 4th inning, still tied at 1. And Tony Perez to lead it off, the dangerous Tony Perez, and Tough and Fergie inside, jams him, makes him look foolish, and Perez goes down swinging. So 1 down, and Lee May will be the batter. Pitch from Fergie, that's going to be ballpark, and that will be an in-play result. So May, and and he gets a hold of that, but it's a harmless ground ball down to second base, and Popovich handles his first chance flawlessly. 2 away for Johnny Bench, nobody on. Still tied at 1 here, and 9 is going to be tough to Johnny Bench, and Fergie gets him waving at the slider on the outside part of the plate. So Bench throws his bat down in disgust and heads back to put on the tools of ignorance as we head to the top of the 5th inning, and still tied at 1. So 6 to Don Young, and 83. That's going to be a ground ball down to short. Cheney takes care of that. 1 away. Fergie coming up. And Fergie, as he has done a couple of times this season, responsible for the Cubs' only run, helping himself out. And ballpark check, that is going to be in play for Ferguson. And 48 won't get it done, though. That'll be a ground ball down to Perez, 2 away. Back to the top of the order, and Kessinger, he has grounded out twice, keeping the middle field infielders busy. Grounding out to both Cheney and Helms. Here comes a pitch, and from Culver, tough, and Kessinger can't catch up with that one, so he goes down swinging for the first time today. Another 3 up, 3 down inning for the Cubbies, and that is now 11 in a row set down by Culver. Going back to Fergie's sacrifice fly in the top of the 2nd inning, and we head to the bottom of the 5th, still tied at 1. Tommy Helms up. Here comes a pitch from Fergie, and that's going to be in play, and it'll be a ground ball down to shortstop. So Kessinger with the put out. With an assist on the other end from Mr. Cubby, Darrell Cheney up next. And 6, tough. Fergie coming in high, and Cheney continues to look absolutely helpless against Fergie. He goes down swinging again. I believe that's 5. I'd have to look at the last box score. I think that's 5 or 6 strikeouts against Fergie in the 2 games they faced off against each other. So tough, and that's going to be an easy strikeout of his opposing number, George Culver. So Fergie racking up the Ks. He has 4 or 5. He already has 9 Ks through 5 innings. And we head to the top of the 6th inning. And much different than his real-life start, we are still tied at 1. And Paul Popovich leads it off, and that's going to be an in-play result. And Pop drives that into the outfield and takes a big turn at first base, but heads back, thinks better of it. So a leadoff single, and Popovich, he really does not want to try and steal, and it would have taken a 2. He's not very fleet of foot himself. Sweet swinging Billy Williams up, and that'll be a patient result, and Williams ground ball down to second base, and 8. And that is outside of his double play rating inside of Culver. So again, 45 or less will be the double play, and this will be a fielder's choice. So 4-6 on the put out, and on a fielder's choice, Billy Williams will be at first base. And sweet swinging Billy, he will not try and steal as Ron Santo is up, and Santo has some pop to put the Cubs in front real quick, and patient, that's going to be a base on ball, so runners at first and second, 1 down. As Culver, who experienced some wildness in the first couple of innings, unable to find the plate there, and Ernie Banks, the dangerous Ernie Banks, is up. Here comes a pitch, and defensive check for Culver, and that is going to be an error check on third base. And down at third, we have Tony Perez, who is horrible with the glove, which is why he ended up at first base later. And a 1, and 1 to 71, that will be an E5. And a 1 base error, so the sacks are juice now. And that should have been the second out, so anything that does happen to Culver at this point will be unearned. 1 down. And Randy Hundley up. Or actually, no. Won't be unearned at this point. And ballpark, and that is going to be in play. So Hundley, and 5, and that is going to be a single. So bases loaded single for Hundley, and it's a line drive into left field. Runner on second, or first advances 2, runner on second scores. So coming around to score is Billy Williams and Ron Santo. Going over to third is Ernie Banks. And a 2-run single for Hundley. And that puts the Cubbies up 3-1. And both those runs are actually earned. If Banks scores, that will be unearned, and anything after 2 outs, of course. So 9, that's going to be tough from Culver, and that will be a ground ball down to shortstop. And that is outside the double play rating of Spangler. They're going to try and turn it, though. Again, 45 or less for the double play, and doesn't get it done. So coming in to score is Banks, and that will be unearned. And erased at second base is Hundley. And on the fielder's choice, Spangler drives in yet another run, and Cubs lead this 4-1. So Culver, an unearned run there in that series. 2 outs, and Don Young up. Fergie on deck. Here comes a pitch, and that'll be tough, and 67. Just out of range there, and that'll be a ground ball down to second base, and Helms will take care of that, and the inning is over. But the Cubbies take advantage of some poor fielding and timely hitting to come up with 3 runs, and they do so on only 2 hits. So we head to the bottom of the 6th inning, and Cubbies in front now, 4-1. And back to the top of the order for the Reds is Pete Rose, and Fergie, he's coasting along too. He's set down 11 in a row. And 6 will be tough, and tough to Pete, and he's not going to be able to fight that off. Ground ball down to Santo, 1 away. 12 straight set down by Fergie. Jimmy Stewart up. Comes a pitch, and it'll be tough, and we go to the rare play chart. So nobody on, and again, this is my personal rare play chart for a way off in the future baseball project. Nobody on base, and 26. Fan interferes with a foul ball by grabbing the left fielder's glove. A batter is out. So, a little bit of Bartman action there, and that costs Stewart a chance to hit again as he is called out on a F7, and that brings up Bobby Tolan with 2 outs now. And let's wrap things up on Tolan with another factoid. So, coming back from his Achilles injury in 1972, he actually won Comeback Player of the Year, and he hit .283 in that season, and really had a very good season. And the Reds won the pennant, went to the series against the A's that year. And for those of you who may remember, Tolan actually had a couple of bad defensive laps in the 7th and deciding game. He had an error early on, and then had misplayed a ball badly on a hit off the bat of Sal Bando, which let another run in, and kind of was the de facto GOAT due to his play in the outfield of that series, and he really never recovered. He kind of went south the next year, got off to a slow start, wasn't very coachable, really had quit playing his brand of baseball. Grew out a beard, which was against the team rules of the Reds, and Sparky Anderson had to tell him twice to shave that. Then he ended up injuring his back, missed some doctor's appointments, which resulted in words between him and the GM, which escalated to a fist fight. So that was pretty much the end of his time in Cincinnati. And Sparky Anderson said later that he wished that was one situation he wished he could go back and rehandle. Felt he could have done a better job in managing Tolan, but as it was, the last straw came with the fight and with the GM Bender, and he got traded then to San Diego, and that was really pretty much, unfortunately, the end of Bobby Tolan as a productive ball player. He bounced around, went from San Diego to the Phillies to the Pirates, then over to Japan for a year, and back to San Diego. And then at the end of the 1979 season, his major league career was basically over. And that's sad enough in itself, but he also had a son, Robbie Tolan, who was a major league prospect. And in 2009, his son was returning to their house after a late night run to Jack in the Box around 2 in the morning, and was pulled over by a policeman. And story goes there that he was questioned for being involved in a stolen car situation, and really didn't go into details about whether that was accurate or not. But the end result was an altercation ensued between the officer and Tolan and some of Tolan's family members that resulted in Robbie Tolan getting shot. And he suffered an injury to his liver, which effectively ended his baseball career. And he did, the Tolan family did end up getting a $110,000 settlement in a civil suit. But again, it kind of derailed a young man's future, so a sad ending to that story as well. And, again, just things that, just looking over box scores or looking at names on a card, you would never know. And I really wouldn't even have looked into him any further had that cork bat not come up. So there you have it, a little brief summary of the career and tragedy of Bobby Tolan and later his son. So back to the action. Tolan up against Jenkins, and that's going to be a tough result. And ground ball down to second base. Popovich whips that over to first, and Fergie, 14 straight Reds set down, and we head to the 7th inning, and Cubbies still lead this 4-1. Fergie leading it off, and there's going to be some action in the bullpen too for Cincinnati. And out there warming up will be Pedro Ramos. And Wayne Granger is going to warm up beside him as well. So Culver coming into Fergie, that's going to be in play, and a ground ball down to third base. And Perez fields this flawlessly this time, whips it over to first, and one away. Don Kessinger the batter, and here comes a pitch. 8's going to be patient, and fly ball to left field. Coming in is Jimmy Stewart, and 2 down. And second baseman Paul Popovich, and that's going to be a tough result as well. Ground ball down to shortstop. Cheney whips it over to May. So 3 up, 3 down, and Culver, he has a fatigue rating. Technically, that will be it for him. I actually should have applied that in this inning, but he will be done. And Pedro Ramos will come on. And Ramos, in 1969, he appeared in 38 games, couple of saves, a 4-3 record, 5.16 ERA. So Culver, the book will be closed on him. He goes 7 innings, didn't really pitch horribly. He only gave up 3 hits. His defense let him down a little bit, and his own wildness. So 3 hits, 4 runs, 3 of them were earned. And he walked 4 Cubbies, and collected just a single strikeout. So that ends his night. Fergie, on the other hand, is still going strong. And Tony Perez going to lead off the 7th inning. And first, we have a special guest in the booth from Guns N' Roses, Axl Rose, to do the honors for the 7th inning stretch. And take it away, Mr. Rose. Watching the Cubs under sunny skies, I hope it doesn't rain, 'cause there's nothing better than being at the old ball game. Whoa, 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 the old ball game. Whoa, ho, 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 the old ball game. And there you go, Axl Rose with the 7th inning stretch and his interpretation of Take Me Out to the ball game. And that was pretty sweet, if you happen to be a child in the stands hearing that. No pun intended. So Tony Perez leading off the 7th against Fergie, and here comes a pitch, and that's going to be in play, and Tony Perez with a single. And so that's the first hit that Fergie has given up since the 2nd inning. And Perez has kind of been a nemesis, a thorn in the side for Fergie this season. Here we go. And we are going back to the rare play chart with a runner on, and let's see what happens here. So runner on 1st, 2nd, or 3rd, we are going to go to column 2. And 57, and possible injury to batter. Check injury rating against the next number. And for May, May, he is a durable player. So durable, 69 or less, no injury, and he's going to stay in the game. So we'll reset this at bat. Fergie comes home with it, and tough, and May, that's going to be a ground ball down to Kessinger, and 8's inside of Fergie's double play rating outside of May's. So 45 or less, and they're going to turn 2. So 6-4-3, twin killing, and Fergie needed that. And 2 outs, nobody on for Johnny Bench. Here we go. And again to the defensive chart, and this is going to be a range check on 3rd baseman Santo, who is a C. And 46, and he's going to make a nice play, dives, gets that, throws from his knees, and Bench is gunned down. A faster runner might have beat that, but he's able to get Johnny. So the inning is over. We head to the top of the 8th. 1 run, no hits, no errors, nobody left, and it is still 4-1 Cubbies. And Pedro Ramos will be the pitcher now. And he'll face sweet swinging Billy Williams. That's going to be an in-play result. Ground ball down to 2nd base. Helms takes care of that, 1 down. Ron Santo up, the cleanup hitter, and 5 will be another in-play result. Fly ball to medium left field, and circling under that is Jimmy Stewart, 2 away. Mr. Cubby, Ernie Banks up next, and 6 will be a patient result, and Ernie, and he's going to drive that into the outfield, back up the middle for a 2-out single. So Ernie, he's been on 3 times today. First time via the hit. He has walked and reached on an error, so 2 outs for Randy Hundley, who is the offensive hero of this game. A big 2-run single back in the 6th inning. And 5 in play, 52, and that is going to be a ground ball down to 3rd. Perez takes care of that, whips it over to May. So the Cubbies go down, 1 hit, no runs, no errors, 1 left, and we're heading to the bottom of the 8th inning. And our score still, Cubbies 4, Reds 1, and Fergie, he's going to get tough on Tommy Helms, and he's going to blow him away. Helms does not strike out much, but unable to catch up with that heater. So 1 down, and Darrell Cheney the batter. 7's going to be an in-play result, and Cheney, that's going to be a pop-up to shortstop. Kessinger drifts over toward 3rd base, calls off Santos, puts it away. It brings up the pitcher spot, and we are going to have a pinch hitter in the form of Ted Savage. And the new pitcher for the Reds, as Ramos goes 1 inning, gives up 1 hit, no runs, no walks, no strikeouts, and Wayne Granger will finish this one off for Cincinnati. So 2 outs, and Savage looking to start a rally here, get back to the top of the order. Fergie kicks, comes home, tough, and not going to get it done there. A strikeout. Savage blown away by the slider. And 3 up, 3 down for Fergie. Working on a 3-hitter as we head to the 9th inning. Cubbies lead this 3-1, or 4-1, sorry. And Al Spanky Spangler leading things off for the Cubbies. Granger on the hill, kicks, delivers, and that's going to be a tough result and will be a fly ball to center field, 1 down. Next up, Dangerous Donnie Young, and here comes a pitch in play, Young. And that's going to be a ground ball down to second base. Helms gets that easily. Candy Hop whips it over to May, 2 away. Fergie up. Granger looking to close out the Cubbies here, and that is going to be a ballpark wheelhouse result. And Fergie takes a huge cut at that. Does he get a hold of it? He does, but it dies at the track. Fly out to left. So 3 up, 3 down for the Cubbies in the 9th, and we head to the bottom of the 9th inning. Cubs lead this 4-1, and Phil Regan is going to get up and loosen up in the Cubs bullpen just in case. Fergie is still fresh. He has a fatigue rating of 9 innings and has only given up 1 run. Here we go. 6, and tough to Pete Rose, and tipped but hung on to by Hundley. That's a strikeout for Fergie, and that is going to put him in, I believe, 11 strikeouts now for the game, as Rose heads back to the dugout. So Charlie Hustle got hung with an 0 for tonight, 0 for 4. 6 will be tough again, coming in on Stewart, swing and a miss, strike 3. So Fergie throwing the cheese. 2 up, 2 down via K, and that is going to be 12 now, an even dozen. Can you get a baker's dozen? And Bobby Tolan, very ironic as he was our featurette player today. Here he comes, Fergie coming home, 10 in play, and Tolan is going to keep it alive with a 2-out opposite field single. So down to first base goes Tolan. Not going to be any stealing action going on. Tony Perez, who's been a semi-nemesis, and defense again. And another range check on Santo. And again, Santo is a C, and he's not going to get to this one as Seeing Eye single gets by him, and that is going to be a runner advance 1, so first and second. And suddenly the tying run is at the plate in the form of Lee May, who is dangerous. And catcher come out to see him. Gene Mock from the dugout says, go ahead and pitch. Here we go. And 8, tough, and Fergie finishing big. Some high heat. May can't catch up with that. Finds its way in Hundley's glove. Strike 3 goes the umpire, and this game is over. So Fergie and the Cubs get the victory, not quite like it was in real life, which again was a 14-8 slugfest. This is a 4-1 win for the Cubbies. And our final numbers for the Cubs, they have 4 runs, but only 4 hits, 1 error. And they just made the most, grouping their hits, and took advantage of some defensive lapses in the field by the Big Red Machine. And Cincinnati, they have 1 run on 5 hits, 1 error. Fergie goes the distance, and again, 5 hits, 1 run. Fergie was sharp with his control tonight, did not walk anybody, and struck out an even dozen, I believe. Let's double check. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, actually 13, 14. So Fergie, a big 14 strikeout showing here, and dominating, getting back to that early season form he was in. He had a couple of games where he lost a little bit of his control, but he's still perfect in terms of decisions, and he moves in his 16th start to 13-3 on the season, and that ERA is going to stay under 2, so off to a great start, and that is going to do it. So again, thank you to our special guest in the booth for the 7th inning stretch, W. Axl Rose of Guns N' Roses, and hope you enjoyed a little the fun, well, maybe not fun, but facts about Bobby Tolan, who was our featurette player of the game. And as always, thank you for watching. Appreciate the support. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. And coming up next on the channel, We will be back to the Speedway red, white, and blue racing season. The 2018 Scram season moves on. And after that will be a special eliminator fight for a crack at the Glory Days Heavyweight Boxing World Championship. Iron Mike Tyson taking on Rocky Marciano in a bout that should be packed with fireworks. So look forward to that coming up as well. And also we will be back to the pitch after that for Tottenham's third match of the 2017 EPL season. So lots going on, lots coming up. And again, thank you so much for watching and the support. And until next time, keep rolling for the fences. This is Anthony. Have a great night. We'll see you.